What's up, John Six? How you doing, brother?
Oh, I'm doing great, man. How you doing?
Yeah,
So
yeah, buddy. I'm sunburnt
just a little
a
bit.
little bit, a little bit. I'm down here in Mexico, but that doesn't stop us from shooting episode 34 of Guys with Thighs, now does it?
No, nothing's gonna stop us from these episodes, man.
Can't stop, won't stop. We on a roll now,
Yes, sir. Yeah, we both got the nice headphones on this week, and I have the
bro. I
real
know.
clear
I'm,
audio.
I'm, I'm not gonna lie. Like I'm borrowing these. I tactically acquired these, as we say in the military.
Ooh,
But I'm gonna give them back. Yes, yes, yes. We don't steal stuff in the military. We tactically acquire stuff in the military.
yes,
It's
and
just
you're
or as some other people, we strategically transfer a piece of equipment to someplace else. That's what it
yeah, permanently borrowing the
is.
things that
Yes,
you
yes, exactly.
need.
There you go. But no, somebody that I'm down here in Mexico with, I'm just like, man, do you have like plug-in headphones? And nobody has plug-in headphones anymore, except for you, apparently. Um, but like travel headphones, okay? You got work headphones.
Yeah,
But he's like, no, but I got these Sonys, and I'm like, ooh, those will work. So then that's
yeah.
how we ended up here, brother. So you said that I'm nice and clear. Hopefully that comes out on the final video. So we rocking and rolling.
Oh yeah, baby. Yeah, hey, this cord, they are Bluetooth. I just prefer the cord so I don't have to remember to charge them.
Oh, hey, that's a good one. That's a good one. Man, I'm telling you what,
Absolutely.
it's been an adventure since the last time we talked. I mean, Christ, I'm in Mexico City, Mexico. This is
Yeah.
crazy.
I was
First time
about to
I've ever been
ask.
down here. Man, this is the first time I've ever been down here, and I can tell you this much. It's a place that I want to come back to where I can kind of relax a little bit more instead of just doing the Spartan races. So I have this one problem, all right? Well, one of a few problems. But I use Spartan races as an opportunity to travel. Now, I view it as a great thing. But when I come to a place, that means that like I have to prep for a Spartan race, run Spartan races back to back days, and then like kind of leave because I got to get back to reality, right? So when I come to these destinations, yes, I have fun, I enjoy the culture, I enjoy the food, haha, but
Yeah.
and good people doing hard stuff, like that's the whole goal, right? But I don't actually get to like adventure out and see and enjoy the touristy thing. So I got to make it back here to enjoy some touristy things.
Oh, of course. Yeah, dude, that restaurant that you posted that had that mariachi band going around to all the different tables, bro. I need to get there.
They had two different bands going around. So the one that I showed, and then they had another one, and these guys were like dressed to the nines, right? Like they had
Oh,
the ties, they had the tuxes, everything, and they were
mhm.
singing. They had the violins, everything. There was a harp over there. It was freaking crazy. It was like the first time I experienced like an actual like Mexican restaurant instead of the Tex-Mex that we get back in the States. So it was
Yes.
just like it was surreal to me. I posted on Saturday because we were on a military base. It's an honor series, which means that Spartan goes on a military base and then like you run the races, you get a special medal, everything. But like it was such an amazing morning. The Mexican flag was in the background. It was the vibe of the Spartan race. And dude, I posted it. I was just like, this is so surreal. Like I never thought that I would be in Mexico running a Spartan race, but let alone in Mexico running a Spartan race on a military base. And it's just like, oh my god! And then we went out. We had food. We had um, just an amazing time, enjoying everybody's company, the band, the atmosphere. It was just like, oh gosh, this is like going straight to the memory bank. So it's amazing.
Absolutely. Yeah, dude, everything looked so beautiful out there. But yeah, I was just talking to Mikey in customer service right before I came over here about the
Hmm.
restaurant, telling him about it. And I was like, oh, this Mexican restaurant he went to out there. And he's like, yeah, I think in Mexico they just call those restaurants.
You're right. You're
It's just
right.
what they do
Um,
there. I was
However,
dying.
the first night, this is crazy. The first night we were here, we actually went to a French restaurant in Mexico and an Italian restaurant in Mexico.
Oh.
So tell Mikey that we still do have to specify which restaurant we're going to. Make sure you
Okay.
relay that. You can
Yeah.
relay that.
Oh, I will. I'll go let him know, and as soon as we're off the pod.
Yeah, dude, it was hilarious because when I was in France, my friend Jay, who is also here in Mexico, all he wanted was an eclair, right? But by the time we got done with all of our stuff handling with Spartan, all the eclairs that were freshly made were sold out. So like it was hilarious when we walked into this restaurant. We're just like expecting, a traditional like Mexican restaurant, everything like that. It's attached to the hotel here. And we walk in and it's a French restaurant and there's eclairs. I'm like, Jay, there you go. You just had to come to Mexico, bud. Don't worry. He got two of them.
Oh, you got to, bro. The chocolate eclairs are one of my favorite desserts, but they're a little bit too expensive for me at times.
You just got to go start making that buco dinero, brother. And the thing is, like the peso and the American dollar are pretty far apart yet. So like everything, it's not. I'm not going to say it's cheap, but at the same time, it's a little bit cheaper than it is in the States and then in France. So it's pretty cool. And then you get to enjoy different cultures, different ways, because they make it different here than they do in France. They make it different here than they do in the States. So it's really awesome just to give it a go, give it a try, and keep on moving. I'm a big food guy. I don't know. I try to do culinary school once in a while. I don't try. I do. I do culinary school once in a while. And I like to eat. Okay, and that's just part of it. That's part of dude. Enjoying the culture, like everywhere you go, from the people, like to the restaurants, to the nature, just to walking down the street and the street vendors and all that stuff. Like, that's what it's all about, right? It's the experience. It's the total immersion. And it's not the air conditioned hotel room. It's getting out and enjoying it. And if anybody is the blessing to travel, Christ, you can even do it in your local town. Like just go out and actually talk to people. I know Andy's really big on that. Like go out and actually talk to people. Go out and go to the zoo. Go out and do things like that. And I bet you your soul is just going to be so much happier, because I know mine is.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And just to add a little bit to that, like I encourage when you go out to places like that, like try to meet and talk to as many new people as possible. Because like you can meet some really amazing people in just the most random places doing that. When you have the right intent just to go out and meet new people, like, and have fun.
Yeah. And I know everybody kind of like looks at me as like, oh, he just does so many Spartans. That's all he does, blah, blah, blah. But honestly, it's for the people. Like I met somebody that he was born in Mexico, lives in Canada. So he spoke great English. And like we ran the race with him today. And like we were just chatting back and forth. He married a girl from Toronto. So now he lives up there, but he comes back here for the race just because it's like home to him. And then we met a guy from LA. Like he doesn't do very many Spartan races. He got involved in like 2021, 2022 when they were ramping back up after COVID, and he fell in love with it because it gets people outside and it allows them to travel. And I'm like, yes, that's what it's all about. So you meet people from all over the world, and now I have the ability to like reach out, build a relationship, build rapport, see what they're up to, and they can do the same to me. And like that's honestly, it's so fun making friends all over the world.
Absolutely, bro. And you don't have to be doing Spartan races either to do all that. Like, it's just think back to my bodybuilding show. Like, there's a bunch of people that I'm talking to still that I met backstage there. So, like, you don't have to be doing crazy things for this to happen. Like,
exactly.
Just get out there and have fun with others and try to build fun relationships with others.
And I can tell you what, if anybody knows Robin, she likes to make friends. So Robin is my mother, in case the first time listener, anybody doesn't know. And she is one of the biggest sweethearts, but she can talk to anybody. Okay. It's one of the gifts that I didn't get. Okay. I got my dad's side to where like, I'm an introvert. I'm just like, I'm just going to kind of do what I do. And then when I'm in my environment, we're good. But when I'm just kind of like laid back, I like to stay away from people. Not Robin. Okay. But we can go anywhere. And first off, she's going to know somebody. Second off, she's going to make friends. And we saw that firsthand at Summer Smash, didn't we? Like all of a sudden, Robin was in every goddamn picture with everybody. And I'm just like, what happened?
So where did my mother go? And I want to spend time.
brother, all I do is let her go, and I'll find her at the end of the night. It's the easiest way to go about it. Easiest way.
That's amazing, dude. That's hilarious because you described exactly my dad. So my mom, I got the introvert side from my mom, but my dad, it's like we were in a different state, like hundreds of miles away from anywhere I know my dad has ever lived. And we go in a gas station, and someone's like, "Oh, what's up, John?" I'm like, how do you we're in like Virginia? How do you know somebody here?
It happens everywhere we go, everywhere. It's amazing. I don't know how they do it, but people like that, they just attract. And like, but that's what we were kind of saying is like, you can be like that by putting yourself out there. And the reason like with travel, you're going to be able to find people that you connect with just by putting yourself out there. There's this awesome, I can't remember where it came from, but there's this awesome piece of advice and it says, it's go first. Be the first to smile. Be the first to say hello. Be the first to open the door. Go first. And just by using that little tactic, it will kind of transform your life. Like, I'm not even joking. It's so powerful. Think at work. Like, be the first person to say, hey, how are you, John? You know, be the first person to lift somebody up, tell a joke, say hello, shoot a smile. Like, it's very powerful. And if you guys that are listening use this tactic, go first, watch your life change. Very short time, too.
Oh yeah, dude, definitely been through that myself. Like back whenever I was in the more darker times where I was struggling, where I was in more of that why me mindset. Like we've both been there before. That's where like in my head it's like, hey, why is no one initiating the conversations with me? Why is no one coming out and like asking me how I'm doing or trying to hold me accountable to push me forward? That was back in those dark times, that why me mindset. When I switched that over to it's like, it doesn't matter. I'm going to go help other people as much as I can. Cause like that can, like we always talk about filling your cup first, but like you can fill your cup by helping other people with what you already know. Like you have enough in your cup to go to give a few things to other people. I don't care who you are, no matter who you are watching, you have some things that you can share with other people to bring value to their life. And like taking the first step and starting that conversation, like that can change everything with your relationships with people and also your success in your career as well. Because if you can take initiative on the hard conversations that nobody else wants to have, like that can set you apart from everyone else. Because like,
go ahead, keep going.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna add like so that pit in your stomach that you get when you have to initiate a conversation that's kind of hard to have. Like you're always going to get that pit in your stomach. Every single person experiences that. You just get a lot better at dealing with it. Like I still get that pit in my stomach when I have to go like let a teammate know, hey, like I saw this ticket. There's a couple details here that you could have worked on here. Like it doesn't feel good to do that because I know that they put everything they could into it, did their very best to help the person, but you have to be able to do that because like showing someone or holding somebody accountable is showing them that you care the most. Like I stole that from actually Derek from one of the first podcasts he was on. He said, holding people accountable is the highest form of showing people that you care. And if you're able to do that, you can move forward more in your job and build better relationships too.
Oh man, 100%. That last little part that you said, the whole thing was great. That last little part, I think people need to re-listen to. What I was, thank God I didn't interrupt you, but what all of a sudden popped into my head was just like, going first is an important concept to have because we are all human beings trying to exist on this freaking spinning ball of rock that's going 14,000 miles an hour around and around and around. This big old gas ball in the sky, billions of miles away, right? We all are kind of just trying to do this thing called life. And at times we can get on our own heads and we don't necessarily notice the other person. So if you decide to go first and be like, hey, John, how are you today? It pulls them out. It snaps the other person out of that bubble and then allows you to interact. So, hey, they might not like you. It's just the fact that like there's 1,000 things going on in their mind and it didn't really compute to them that you walk by them. But if you said hi to them, hey, all of a sudden it's like, hey, John, what's up, dude? And then we can have a conversation. That's what kind of like was going on in my head. But I'm so happy that you listened because you were 100 or you were talking and you didn't allow me to interrupt because that you were 100% correct. Like I love that. The fact that you pulled that out of an earlier podcast and repeated it now, I love it. Thank you.
Oh yeah, dude. I've shared that with so many different people. Like I think that might not have been his first one. I think it was the first one that I did the audio on actually.
So that means it's episode 6, baby. Episode 6 with John 6. That's what it was.
Yes, sir. But yeah, that definitely changed my perspective a lot on that. And I mean, dude, going back to what you just shared with like people are in their own head, like just they're doing their own thing. They're not like say like
We're writing
when
our own
someone.
story. That's what we are.
Mhm.
We're all writing our own story, and sometimes you need to be pulled out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I was in one of those spots with like what I was just talking about. When I was in that spot, it just took
Mm-hmm.
one person to come and ask, like, "Hey, how you doing, bro? How is everything
Mm-hmm.
going?" To pull me completely out of that to where I was able to be like, "Okay, I need to start doing this for other people because that just made me feel so good. I know I'm gonna feel even better if I go do that for other people." So that's huge. Just taking that initiative. If you see someone's down, freaking go ask them how they're doing. They may not be down. They may just be thinking about stuff, like you said.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. When you start using these tactics, and I call it stacking W's, a lot of people call it other things. But when you start stacking W's like this and start using these tactics, it's like you're getting taken out of the matrix, right? And now
Mm-hmm.
you can choose to put yourself back in the matrix, which is this crazy thing called life. But you can detach from it, big old Jocko thing, being able to detach from a situation, look around, figure out the next best step, and then go execute on a plan.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, learning that from Jocko in the past, it's like I think one person, one leader here kind of simplified what he was saying and honestly applied it more towards business. But it's like, hey, as a leader, like you got to stop working in the business as much and you got to work on the business. So like in the warehouse, that was where I was 6 years. So I got to relate it to that. It's like taking a leader who is always on the line, packing orders, helping get stuff out the door. It's like, hey, we need to take a step back and work on the business so we can see what's happening, assess what's going on, and make the adjustments necessary. So that's the same thing what you're saying. You got to be able to detach from the situation and think about it logically rather than emotionally. That's something I had a huge problem with in the past as well. It's like, yes, the emotional part is 100% important, but you have to filter it through that logic first. It's like, for example, like in bodybuilding, if there's something like, if just for example, if I have a health issue that causes me to not bodybuild, then I'm not going to bodybuild anymore. That's going to hurt my soul emotionally because that's what I love to do. But logically, it's like, hey, I have other goals. I have other things that I want to do in life, and I can't let that stop me. So logically, this is not a good decision to keep going down this path. So it's like you have to filter through that logic first and then use the emotion as well. And that can help you make the correct decision. But like when you go by somebody and they don't pay attention, that's them getting too much in that emotional sense, being too locked in to their emotions. Like you take a step back and get to the logical sense. It's where you can see the real picture of everything.
And that's where stoicism, I think, it's really bad. Because stoicism, like everybody thinks people are just like cold. Like it's a teaching of like this ancient teaching of teaching people to be cold. And it's actually not. The real stoicism is allowing you to have a situation happen to you. You filter through that emotion and you react with a rational thought or a rational action or a rational action. Right? So like something might
Mm.
make you so mad, but you're able to and let it go and then react appropriately to where if it requires violence, like in the military, well, it's time for violence. But if it requires a tactical conversation, like in business, well, then have a tactical conversation instead of going off and screaming and yelling, which will get nothing done.
Oh, absolutely not. Yeah, that's something that I learned with the yelling part. Like that is only going to make the problem worse. Like you get somebody into a
Yelling,
standoff situation.
jabs, like anything
Mhm.
like that, anything that could like trigger the other person. It just won't get anything done. It's not beneficial to either party or the company that we work in or whatever realm you're in.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, you just got to take a step back and assess that. Like, take a deep breath. Like that's where you've
Oh
heard
God,
that before. It's
dude,
like take it.
that is. Do you
It's
know
so
how,
cliche.
so I've actually found that if you joke about taking a deep breath, it actually makes it better. So like you actually make so like I
Yeah.
found like I'll go there and I'll like strike a pose and I'll just be like, hey, dude, have you ever thought about taking a breath? That's what happens though.
Yeah.
Normally they like stare at you, but then they can't help but laughing. But guess what? They end up taking a deep breath because it like kind of like triggers them out of something.
Hmm.
And like I found like that's the best tactic to where like instead of just being like, hey dude, take a breath, just be like, hey, you ever thought about taking a breath, man?
Yeah.
Like, it's just like a slightly different tone and a slightly different tactic to get the result that you want. But it's true. Like I say that all the time. It's just like taking a breath is like it's that moment of pause that can change like the entire dynamic of what is about to happen.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, you said the perfect word. I actually read this from the Master the Art of Selling, actually, and that was a technique is like
Mm.
using pauses while you're
Mm-hmm.
speaking, but like just taking that few seconds to think about what you're about to say.
Yep.
Like all those bad things that we're talking about when you get into that emotional sense, or like when you may have like shown somebody like that you just walked by them and didn't like or lost in your thoughts and didn't talk to him at all. Like that goes back to like if you can pause for a second, then you can actually have the logical right answer. So literally, and
Mm-hmm.
it only takes like 3 to 5 seconds, and you can get your
Mm-hmm.
thoughts in order.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, man, the human brain has so many thoughts throughout the day. I actually just read the number. I can't even remember it. Something like 3 million thoughts a day. I want to say something
Oh
like
yeah.
that. And being
Hmm.
able to filter through them is sometimes a little difficult. So,
Yeah.
like, like just being able to have a conversation, go first, and just to put a bow on this topic of conversation, like go first. Like that's all it is. Smile first. Say hello first. Hold the door first and watch your life change.
Absolutely. I could not agree more, man. But dude, going back to those restaurants and stuff, I saw some really delicious food out there, but I wanted to know like how are you doing with actually like fueling yourself through these races, man? Because I was thinking about this the other day. Like you do how many races do you do per weekend?
Normally it's 3 races per weekend, and on a normal weekend, it's a 21K, 10K, and a 5K. So the 21K is normally on a Saturday, then a 10K and a 5K on Sunday. This weekend was actually flipped. It was crazy. Um, then when I really want to go, I do a 50K on Saturday, then a 10K and a 5K on Sunday. But I didn't go. I didn't go this time around. It was just the sprint, the super, and the beast.
Hey,
Um,
that's still crazy, man. But yeah,
yeah.
dude, I was just wondering, like, how are you staying fueled out there? I know I saw a few of the things that you're having after the races, but what are we doing before to get you ready?
So basically, to get ready, it's a pretty simple process. You focus on a solid protein source. So I always lean towards beef, but beef, chicken. I kind of stay away from pork because of the way that you have to cook it and the fat kind of messes with my stomach a little bit. And then a nice solid carb, and then some vegetables, right? And then also when I get off a plane, because when I'm traveling the planes dehydrate you. I have my nice first form
Hmm.
hydration sticks, right? Refuel
Yeah.
with get me that sodium, get me that magnesium back in me, and make sure that I don't oversaturate it with water, because like I know that I have to put water in my system, but if I oversaturate it, I'm just flushing those nutrients out. So I make
Hmm.
sure to use about my half a water bottle. It says on the little stick what to actually rehydrate myself. That's actually the first thing I do is rehydrate myself off the plane, and then I go search for food. Um, but when feeling for the race, I do my best to keep it clean, right? Because the last thing you want is gastrointestinal issues throughout the weekend. I know, like, you've been there. We're athletes.
Hmm.
I've been there, and I'm just like, oh, that was not a good decision eating all that crazy food. So
Hmm.
before my race, I keep it very clean. So normally, over race weekends, I practice what something called is the Pareto principle. It's the 80-20 rule. And I know you've probably heard of this, folks. I get it. But
Oh
like
yeah.
80-20 is so powerful, it's unbelievable. So um, what I do is 80% of my meals are right on par with what I want. Clean food, everything like that. And then the 20% is, if you watch my story, the damn good tasting food that I use to get my calorie intake back up, because I just did a freaking half marathon out on a Spartan race. And also, I need to replenish my glycogen stores. So because I don't normally travel with Ignition, because I had my carry-on bag, which that's a whole nother story. I had my supplements taken, but whatever. TSA.
Oh God. What the?
I know they got me this time, but most of the time it's okay. Anyways, but then I allow my sugary food because I need to replenish my glycogen after a race. So it's okay to have that, right? Because I not only did I just go through something hard all day, but then I do actually need those high glycemic carbohydrates to replenish my glycogen stores so I can be ready for the next day. So, but to go back to your point, or to your question, prior to racing, I keep it a very clean diet. I do the 80-20 rule. So my clean meals normally consist of a protein, which is a palm, a carb, which is a palm, and then a fist worth of like vegetables, right? And the vegetables you can be a little bit more lenient on. It's completely up to you and how full you want to feel. But that's kind of what I stick to. So let's call it like a beef, right? Like that's some kind of steak. Do a palm. Then potatoes, palm, and then veggies, fist, right? If I stick to that, I find that not only am I fueled and ready to go, but I'm not over full, which is really, really important because I don't want to feel like I'm heavy going into a race.
Oh, dude, absolutely. I love all of that, bro. And like it sounds like you actually, like as soon as you get off the plane, that's what you're thinking about. Like you said, that was one of the first things you do. Like you have to prepare for that as soon as possible. Because like if you don't have your food, you don't have your fuel, the carbohydrates, the fats for those races, like you're not going to make it through the whole thing. So that's first thing on your mind. Well, I absolutely love it.
I can tell you what, I just did that recently. I did that in France.
Oh yeah.
Because I got off the plane and started driving, right? So like I instantly was behind on water and hydration and everything because I'm driving for 7 hours. I didn't want 4 hours. That's it. But I didn't want to stop and go to pee all the time, right?
No.
And it just skipped my mind because I'm in freaking rush hour traffic in Paris, like just trying not to wreck my rental car. And I'm just like bumper to bumper. I'm like, oh God, please no. So like I screwed up right away. And then I was behind. So then my race for the ultra, I happened to be doing the ultra that weekend, was a rough one. So because I was playing catch up the entire time. And I thought I would learn, but I didn't because in Utah, I did the exact same thing. I hydrated, but I didn't eat properly. So I was behind on my food. And like, there's nothing worse than like mile one into the race and you're hungry. Nothing worse. So that's why, crazy. Like now for Mexico, like I dialed it in right away. I was just like, nope, this is not happening. We are eating real food. We are eating good food and we are hydrated. And so I really, really had an emphasis on that this race. And I found what actually works. And I executed on the plan that I laid down and it worked. So this weekend, I felt great the entire time. No stomach issues either, which is a win.
Hell yeah, dude. Hey, you made a mistake last week or in France. And
the last couple of races. Yeah, man.
Yeah. And hey, you learn from it. Now you're not going to let that happen again. Now you're going to have better races every time because of those mistakes you made. So that's awesome, man.
Yeah. And John Maxwell has this really awesome book. It's called Failing Forward. And I didn't learn the lesson the first time. So it happens to come around and smack you in the face again. And now I learned my lesson. So I failed twice in a row forward, which led me to here. So I feel good. I'm ready to go. Yeah, man, that's how I normally eat is I stick to the 80-20 rule, which is 80% of the time I'm eating great, solid, on point. And then the other 20% of the time I have the cheesecake because that's part of the culture. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Like I had the queso with chorizo. Okay. With the chips. Because that is part of it, right? Like I look at health and fitness as this life thing instead of just this week, okay? I know that when I get back into town, I'm going to dial it in to where that 80-20 becomes 90-10 or 95-5 to get back into the groove that I want to get to and to get the body goals that I want. But at the same time, when I'm telling my grandkids that, Grandpa Sully was in Mexico City and he had the chorizo with queso, and trust me, it's delicious. Like, I'm going to want to be able to tell them that. Yeah. I'm going to want to be able to tell them that the street tacos are absolutely amazing because I actually experienced it and I didn't read it in a magazine or watch it on YouTube. it's something that I want to experience, and it's part of the overall culture and the overall experience as a whole. So that's why I do it that way personally.
I love it, man. Yeah, and I wanted to like going along those lines with being able to like. It sounds like the end of your day, you're having you're going to that 20%, having those fun foods after the races. And something, so most people are not going to have to fuel as much as you when they're going on trips, like vacations and stuff. So they won't have to eat quite as much carbs and fats throughout the day. So something that I like to do whenever I'm out on vacation to kind of save some room for more of those really good foods. This is for those seldom times you're on vacation. This isn't something that you should do daily, but focusing on protein and vegetables first. So hitting your protein goal and eating just vegetables along with that throughout the day. And then you have all kinds of extra room to eat as much carbs and fats, which most very delicious things have a lot of carbs and fats in it. So you're kind of leaving yourself more room for that cake, for that pizza, or really good Mexican food with chips and salsa and queso. Like you can fit in a little bit more if you leave those out throughout the day, and throwing those vegetables with the protein, like he was saying with the palm fist method, like the vegetables are going to keep you very full along with protein. So eat until you're full with the protein and veggies. And then once you get to that meal, you're going to have a lot more room left, and you won't see the scale jump up quite as much from that meal. No, it probably will jump up a little bit. Water weight goes up with high carbohydrates and sodium, but it's a great way to kind of mitigate some of those side effects that you get from the cheat meals that we all need to have at times. Like to keep my sanity, like after prep, when I didn't have a cheat meal for 22 weeks, I had a little bit of sushi on some refeed days and things like that. But after no cheat meals for that long, it's like I went out and had some delicious food for a while. It was really good, but then right back on plan. So that's something I wanted to share, just because protein and veggies throughout the day, that can help you stay on track a little bit better.
And actually, to add to that, I love that. To add to that, the reason proteins and veggies are so important is John mentioned that veggies will fill you up. They're a great filler, but also protein is the most satiating macronutrients. Macros is proteins, fats, and carbs. So if you have more protein satiating, it's going to fill you up longer, right? It gives you that feeling of fullness. So it will get you to that high carbohydrate, high fat meal at the end, that nice little dessert at the end, and you won't feel hangry throughout the day.
Oh yeah, dude. And dude, that just actually just made me think of yesterday. I'm on my stories talking about like just some basic things that I focus on for the long-term health. And that's where protein, vegetables, and then the movement is three things that I make sure I get in every single day, no matter what my goal is at the time, because it's going to help with that long-term health and prevent things like heart disease and things from happening when you keep those in. But to break that down a little bit more, the protein, micronutrients that you get from those vegetables, the vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, probiotics, all of those different things. And then movement, just walking in every day, getting some type of workout in every day. Like those are my three basics that I keep in if I'm on vacation. If I am doing like on the day of the show, I still got my walking in. Like no matter what, I'm getting protein goal, micronutrients, movement for that long-term health. And that I thought that relayed really well, because those are three things that we just set up in those vacation days where you can have that 20% real good food, but you're still hitting the basics of your protein, micronutrients, and movement. So
I love that. That's a great way to look at it. And that's honestly a great way to look at overall health and wellness as a whole. Like lift some, walk some, eat your protein, get your veggies. Like there you go. If you want to be in the, I would say top 90% of people fit in the United States and maybe even the world, those things right there will get you there. The last 10% of it is the hard part. But being in the 90% nowadays, do that. Lift a little bit, walk a little bit, eat your protein and veggies. There you go.
It's really that simple. And you just do it consistently.
Yeah, not easy, but simple, right? Like it's the consistency part that people need to work on. So I'm glad you said that. That's great, because you can use that. You don't have to be on vacation. You can use that in your everyday life. Hell, John does it every day. When I'm back home, that's what I do. It's simple, right? Simple, not easy, but simple.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's just about everything. Like the basics, like the low-hanging fruit are going to get you 80 to 90% of your results. All the details that everybody's worrying about and wasting time on, essentially. And that's great. Like in my head, that's crazy for me to say because I love nerding out about the details. But I know all the basic things that I do every day is going to get me the majority of the results. So stop worrying about the little details quite as much and make sure you're consistently executing on those low-hanging fruit that we're just talking about. Simple stuff.
In the coaching realm, when I coach people, I say it's big rocks versus small rocks. Like these big rocks are actually going to be the thing that make you move in the right direction. Then that's my job as a coach, is to start helping you get those small rocks out of the way, right? But it takes time. We want to focus on the lifestyle. Let's start moving these big rocks, the low-hanging fruit. And then eventually, as we get down the line and we get consistent, we can start adding these little things in that will get even more results and better results.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Once you have the low hanging fruit down, like once it's automatic. So we're talking about fruit. Once you buy a tractor or trailer or whatever, and you're automatically getting those low hanging fruit, then you can get into the details of like putting special things into your soil so the fruit goes faster. It's like, well, first of all, you gotta get it sunlight and water, and it's gonna grow, and then go pick it up. Those are the basics. Then you can get to the details later. Get good at the basics first.
Love that. And I think that's a perfect place to wrap. We talked about so many topics today, but here's a little reminder, yo, go first, get out. All right. Adventure a little bit. It's good for the soul. Remember, when you're eating and you don't know what to do and you're not tracking anything, remember, palm. So protein, carbs, fruit. All right. Simple, not easy, I get it, but simple. All right. And remember, focus on your protein, your veggies, and some movement. Did I cover it all? All right. I know I didn't cover it all, but did I have a good little wrap up there?
Yeah, no, I think that was you knocked out all of the low hanging fruit, the most important ones right there.
I see what you did there. All right, so we're gonna wrap this up. My name is Sully Lupke. Remember, you can follow me on all major socials at Sully Lupke. John, where can they find you?
Just JOHN 2_ SIX, just John 6 with 2_.
Beautiful, and that's on Instagram, right?
Yeah, that's just on Instagram. I'm not huge on the I was about to say Twitter, X, or the threads that Instagram's trying to copy off of X. Like, haven't gotten into those too much yet, but we'll definitely in the future.
Yep. So the best place to get you is on Instagram. Best place to get me is on Instagram, actually, or commenting on this post, because we're always in the comments and we're going to be even more in the comments. So make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share, and send this to somebody if you think it's a little valuable or if you think they need it. If not, we'll see you next time, and we appreciate you all for listening.
Absolutely. I appreciate you guys. Love you guys. Let's go make it a great week.
Let's stack some dubs, baby. Let's go.
Yeah.